Okay, so I think we've probably given everyone enough time. So let's get started. Hello, my name is Pierce McDonald, and good afternoon, everyone. If you're here to hear more about IBM Client Value Acceleration or the CVA program, then you are in the right place. Today we're going to so this particular webinar is going to, or I guess more of a live stream actually, is going to cover the topic. And what we're hoping to do here is to go through, I guess, a tour of the CVA program. Most of the information you've probably received around the CVA program has been from IBM or the CVA partners. And as you might expect, it's all very positive. And but because License Talk are not affiliated with IBM or the partners indeed, I'm hoping we can give you a little bit more of a balanced view. The insights we'll be sharing with you are ones we've gathered from working with clients who have either signed up to the CVA program or its predecessor IASP. So we're looking at some very practical examples here, and that those lessons we're hoping to share with you. The agenda is we're going to take a quick look, first of all, at the definition of the CVA program from IBM's perspective. We're then going to have a look and see when you should join it, maybe the times when you should not join it. We'll have a little look at the preparation you might need to think about when considering CVA. And then, of course, our conclusions and a bit of a Q&A session at the end. All in all, it should take us 15-20 minutes. I don't want this to be a very long. I want it short, informative. At the end of it, if you have questions, love to hear from them. And if you don't want to share them in the public, I'm more than also happy to accept them on the one-to-one. So with that in mind, what is IBM CVA? What we're looking at here is IBM's definition. CVA is IBM's strategic program for clients to help gain transparency, control, and optimization of their IBM software investments. And there's generally 6 or so elements to it. You can see them there on the right. The big one really that people kind of focus in on is the audit protection. And we're going to have a look at that later. But I do actually feel that the CVA program has a number of benefits, but it also has some downsides as well. So things like unified visibility, they do help you get that together in the portal. AI insights, I'm not so sure about from my experience of it so far. The audit protection, it's got its pros and cons. We'll have a closer look at. Strategic value in terms of modernization. Again, I'm not sure how the CVA program helps on that one. Customization, allowing you to use tools like ServiceNow, definitely some advantages there. And workforce upskilling, again, some advantages. Probably some that aren't emphasized as much here is the fact that you're going to be working with very experienced partners in this area, and they do share knowledge and they do break great insights, but they're also curtailed very often in what they can do. And that's probably where the CVA program is probably less obvious than some of the constraints. It's what they cannot do for you that also becomes a thing to look at. So with that all said, let us look at when to join the IBM CVA program. Well, and this here comes, I suppose IBM would say that, oh, join it every time. And that is something to keep in mind, that IBM as a strategic objective are wishing to get the majority of their clients into a CVA program of some sort. It's essentially a self-compliance or self-audit program, and the information that's uploaded, although it does help with your compliance, is actually part of helping IBM to sell more software. They will essentially have lots of information on you when you upload that data into their portal. And just like you will have visibility, so will your account managers. And that information can be invaluable in terms of strategy, modernization. It's also what I would consider a little bit of a mismatch or an imbalance in terms of knowledge. But that all said, when to join? If you're not compliant for some capacity licensing, this is by far and away the greatest risk when it comes to IBM licensing and audits, and not having your subcapacity licensing in order. In simple terms, having the tools deployed, having them correctly reporting in, and having the reports available in the event of an audit. Most organizations who do not do this diligently, and this is probably the number one benefit of joining the CVA program. You will be, the discipline will be brought with the help of the partner to you. They will help you prepare it, they will review it, they'll tell you where there are gaps, and if you know you don't have your compliance in order for subcapacity, the most common one really is if you don't have the ILMT Big Fix tool deployed properly, or it hasn't been upgraded in a while, or maybe there are gaps, configuration issues. Your CVA partner will help you here. That's probably the main one. If you don't have license management processes, and this is kind of the next stage, it's one thing having the tools, but very often organizations just don't know how to regularly prepare an ELP, how to analyze it. They may not have the skills in-house, they may not have the know-how. And when you join the CVA program, you get this knowledge from your CVA partner. But that all said, you do have to actively get that information from them. Another common one, and this comes, it's from talking to our clients, and that is getting approval for additional hires. Very often senior management kind of needs the outside impetus to assign resources and provide resources. The SAM team could have been asking for years for help getting more resources to manage their IBM licensing. The CVA program is very often used as a lever for getting those resources. So if you don't have the resources, it's a very good way to, first of all, supplement them on a short-term basis, and then beyond that to build a business case. And the final area is if you have specific compliance issues. Now, I use the word specific here because very often, and you'll see this in the next slide where we talk about when not to join the CVA, CVA is offered by IBM as a settlement for an audit. In a general case, this is not a good idea, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But if you have specific compliance issues, examples of this might be unsupported operating systems, a new data center or a new business unit has been brought in that basically upsets your compliance position, or you have unknowns, or if there is an overall strategic objective within the organization to get yourself more compliant from a variety of areas. Ultimately, when it comes to summarizing this, join the CVA program if you need time, extra time to get yourself in order. You need some help or support getting resources, or you need expertise. But I will always emphasize the CVA program should not be seen as a long-term program. This is something, it's a moment in time, and you do need to enable yourself going forward. So that's kind of when we look at when you should join the CVA program. Now let's have a look and see when you should not join the CVA program. Well, first and foremost here is if it's been offered as a way to avoid or settle a compliance audit. This is a serious risk for you, and it's probably the most common reason that I come across my clients joining the CVA. Essentially, IBM say, we'll settle this audit here, but you have to go into CVA, or we will renew the ELA agreement. You haven't certified your deployments. Part of the conditions will be that you'll join the CVA program. Ultimately, what you're doing here is you're postponing a problem, and that is probably not a good time to be thinking about joining a CVA program because ultimately you're not ready for it. You're going into it under duress. Second area is if you don't actually know your compliance risks, and very often, again, I find organizations where they're kind of going, well, CVA will help us figure it all out. That is indeed the case, but the problem you have there is once you join CVA and they find problems, you have very little room to wriggle and to correct things once you're in the CVA program. They find a compliance risk, you will have to pay for it. And very often that cost is not understood by the client at the beginning. So you must understand your compliance risks before going into it. If you don't, I strongly discourage you from joining it. Now, if there's a significant change in your infrastructure, and this is a kind of a variation of what I said earlier, where CVA, you're joining it because you have a compelling event of some sort. If you suddenly change your infrastructure or extend it or make conditions, you have essentially created a lot of unknowns, and you could have a significant increase in your license costs because of these unknowns. So you're better off basically trying to get an understanding of that infrastructure before you enter the CVA program, or certainly before you share data with the CVA partner, so that you have a chance to manage it, mitigate it, and possibly optimize. Don't go into it if you're hoping to reduce costs. It never happens. Okay, I have reviewed the results of many IASP reports and CVA reports. It never goes down. And the reason for this is quite simple. Your CVA partner is ultimately an auditor. They are not ultimately looking to reduce your costs. They're checking for compliance. They're actually prohibited by IBM guidelines from identifying areas where you can reduce costs, where you could cancel support. Ultimately, they're not allowed to take money out of the pocket of IBM. They're allowed to keep you compliant and to help you maintain that. Final one is IBM offered us the first year for free. I don't know how many times I've heard this one, where, oh, we're getting it for free. What can it hurt? Trust me, if IBM are offering you something for free, there's a reason for it. They think that there's a significant return on investment. That particular free comes from an investment fund. It's an IBM investment fund. So that probably tells you all you need to know. So do not join CVA unless you have made preparation and have a plan. So with that said, preparation. Okay, let's get down to business here. CVA is an IBM audit, pure and simple. Now, the settlement criteria around it are probably less onerous. You get to settle things at your normal discounted rates. You can very often draw down from your catalog, and settling the audit is generally much easier. The problem is it's still an audit. You're still paying. They're not going to be optimizing. As I said, they're prevented from it doing this by guidance from IBM themselves. Any CVA partner that tells you otherwise, I will challenge that. So when you're going into this here, you need to know your risks in advance. I would be strongly advising any client, either at any stage, by the way, whether they're thinking about it or they haven't handed over the data to the auditors or the CVA partners yet, to carry out an internal audit. Understand your risks in advance. Understand the costs. How big a problem have we got here? And once you go in with that in mind, then it's okay. You're going in prepared. The second thing when it comes to preparation is, don't be surprised. You are going to have compliance issues. It is inevitable. There's probably a good reason why you're joining CVA. You're having difficulty managing it. Therefore, there will be compliance costs, and budget for it accordingly. Those costs, generally, I'll be saying put aside a few million. The guideline is about 10% of what your assets under management are. That might sound like a lot of money, but trust me, very often the compliance risks are in that order. The next thing when it comes to preparation is double checking any compliance gaps that are highlighted by your CVA partner. They're going to prepare the reports. They're diligent and they will do the best they can. But mistakes happen. There's an interpretation of the rules, maybe incomplete data from your team. Maybe there's incomplete data with regard to the tools involved. It doesn't matter what the cause of it is. If you find a compliance gap, double check it. And if you need to go and get expert advice outside of your CVA partner, go and get it, particularly when the numbers are very large. Finally, expect to need additional resources here when you enter the CVA program. The CVA partner ultimately just reviews and verifies the data. They do not help you with regard to tooling. They do not help you with regard to configuring ILMT or Big Fix, optimizing it. They may offer you suggestions and advice, but it'll be up to your team to internally to actually prepare and do this work. Now, most CVA partners will offer it as an additional service, and it may be an option for you in the short term, but ultimately you do need to have the resources, and if you don't have them immediately, you need to build up that team so that you're self-sufficient later. Ultimately, IBM licensing is an expensive asset, and you need to put the investment in. The CVA program is excellent at getting you on a stable footing and also giving you a sense of how big the problems can be. And hopefully that'll be the business case to allow you to go and get those additional resources. So that's the preparation. It's an audit performed by the auditors that you're paying for. Therefore, please prepare for it. In conclusion, we've basically got IBM are pushing CVA. This is a strategic objective. Okay, every large account is targeted at getting, I guess, signed up to the CVA program, and it will be every opportunity, every ELA renewal, every audit, every SNS renewal. Anytime and every time there will be a continuous push to get you signed up to the CVA program. So have a strategy. You ultimately can't just keep ignoring it continuously. You need to be very clear about what you're doing there. You don't have to sign up to it, but you must be audit ready then. The second part is understand that CVA program is ultimately a license audit. Now, of course, they're trying to identify compliance, and they're trying to get you compliant, but they are constrained in how they can do that. They can just show you the gaps, and ultimately you buy more licenses. Whereas with an internal audit, which is the preparation you need to be making, you can very often find and fix many of these issues before they have become a problem. But use the CVA program as maybe an accelerator to getting that done. Third one to expect here is expect significant license costs on that first report. When you get the baseline the very first time, you can expect a very expensive bill. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. There are accumulated problems. The CVA partner can only report on what they find, and you should budget for that. Don't be shocked. Now, I would say, which is the next point, always investigate the compliance gaps. Very often they're legitimate. That's fine. But also very often they're not. And the final one here, and this is something, I guess, to give credit to the CVA partners. They're generally, although they're constrained by IBM and the rules, they very often do want to help you. So you need to learn from them. You need to actively collect information. You need to get their advice with regard to preparing run books, managing things, and ultimately asking yourself, how do we manage this after they have gone? So with that conclusion, thank you very much for your time today. I hope you found it useful. I'd love to hear some questions. Have you got any? Pop them in the comments and let's see what you got. Now, if you're a little shy, you are welcome, of course, to send me messages afterwards. You probably already are connected to me on LinkedIn, or if not, it's very easy to message me. I'll give it a moment. You can say hello as well, just so I know that the comments are working. Okay. Well, then, I haven't seen any questions this time around. This is okay. With regard to the next steps. So hopefully you found something interesting here today. Connect with me on LinkedIn anyway, if you want to have a chat. You can message me. We can have a one-to-one. You can have your questions. You can have your concerns. If you're working for a CVA partner, you can have an argument with me. I'd love to have a chat with you on LinkedIn. Second thing you can do is go to our website. We actually have quite a lot of content on CVA. Simply go to the website, in the search box at the top, type CVA, and you will get a list of articles, webinars, and so forth that will help you in your preparation and going forward. On the right-hand side there, you can see contact details, email, phone number, and our website. And I hope you found this a useful webinar today, or I guess stream for you. This is the first of a series we're going to be doing. I'm going to be doing more of these in the new year on all things IBM licensing, and we want to make them tactical, useful, and hopefully a little bit shorter as well. Thank you for your time today, and I look forward to hearing from you and seeing and hearing from you in future streams. Thank you very much. I have a question coming in. Do you see the CVA as a one-time audit event or continuous process? Thank you for the question. I see it two parts. I see the first time you do the CVA when you onboard, that is most definitely an audit event because there's a lot of unknowns. And as a customer of the CVA program, if you don't know what's there, you will get the full brunt, surprises, and the costs of an audit. As for it being a continuous process, the short answer is yes, but on a lower scale. And my practical experience here is very often when we're dealing with the ISP partners, this is the predecessor to CVA, they say that with each report, something new very often pops up. Sometimes it's minor, sometimes it's major. What I find particularly, I guess, uncomfortable is where IBM find a past compliance issue that hasn't been reported in previous reports. So examples of this might be that they suddenly found that the ISP partner or CVA partner mistakenly calculated the license position 2 quarters ago, and they're correcting it. This is like an audit of the audit, and I very much disapprove of that, and I think it's not in the spirit of CVA. The other times is when there is any kind of a change to the estate, acquisitions, mergers, data center changes, which is happening all of the time, particularly modernization projects, be they IBM modernization or just simply infrastructure modernization. That can seriously shuffle and shake up your compliance position, particularly for subcapacity licensing. So the short answer is, the first time you sign up in that first baseline, it's a full audit. It's a minor audit on a continuous basis thereafter, and surprises do surface. And back to one of my original points, challenge it. Always challenge a compliance issue that gets reported. Thank you for the question. Have we got any other ones? If you don't, you have my, as I said, I'm more than happy to connect with you and just answer your questions one-to-one. Very informal. There's no sale here. You can just have the chat with me. Plenty of articles on our site. And at any point, if you want to have a conversation about doing an internal audit, we're here also. Thank you very much for your time today, and looking forward to see you on future streams.